Alright guys, so I'm going to be showing everyone how to do an oil change on a 2002 4-cylinder Camry using a basic oil pan starter kit from Advanced Auto, a 14mm wrench, and 5W30, the grade of oil for my car for the temperature of the season. You can find that in your owner's manual, and as well as the oil filter. And just look at the code numbers and make sure that it's the right one that fits your car also, which can also be found in your manual or in the oil filter handbook, whether you're going to Ace Hardware or Advanced Auto or any other place that would have the materials that you need for this. So basic setup. Right now I have my car up on ramps, and you want to make sure that the ramps are aligned. You want, just like when you're jacking your car up in any way. I have the car in park, I have the parking brake on, and I also have a brick behind the back wheel, just for a little bit of extra safety, because you never want to mess around when you're going under your car. And I also have just an old workout mat to just to crawl under there on, so that my back's not on the gravel here. And whether or not you have a crawler that you can scoot under your car with, or just something to lay down on, it always helps. So, alright, well, let's get started. What we're going to do first is drain all the oil out of the pan. Now, I like to take my oil cap off so that there's no vacuum in it to keep the oil from coming out of the pan. So, take it off and just set that on the top so I'm not going to lose it. And now let's go into the car and find the oil pan. So I'm under my car right now, and the oil pan is located in the front. If this is my front right wheel, just going over from it a little bit, and there's a 14mm bolt with a flange on it. As you can see, the black around it, you can see where some of the oil's gotten on it before. So that is what we're going to be taking off with our 14mm wrench. Now I'm going to grab our pan, and I'm going to place it right underneath of the bolt that we're going to take out from the oil pan. And we want it to go straight beneath it. So from here it's going to come straight down into your pan. Make sure it's aligned. Also make sure to take note of the fact that the bolt is at an angle. So it's going with all the pressure at the bottom, since it's at the since the bolt's at the bottom of the pan. That's where the greatest amount of pressure is when it's all the way full. So when you first open this up, it's going to drip over your hands for a little bit while you're unscrewing the bolt, but then it's going to shoot at an angle outwards and not just straight down. So make sure you place your pan a little bit forward of the bolt, but not so much that when it does slow down, when it comes straight down, you're still going to get it in. So mostly centered. Scoot it forward a little bit for when it first shoots out. It's going to come out at an angle. So I am going to loosen it up to where I believe it can be hand loosened. Sorry, I just had to scoot around here. I'm going to come from the top because the oil's still a little warm. So I had to drive the car up onto the ramps, and it's going to want to leak out here pretty quick. So I'm still applying pressure on the bolt, but as soon as I start to feel the bolt really loosen up, I'm going to pull it away. See, here comes the oil, and there you go. So it's shooting out at the angle into the pan, and it's going to be filling up. So as you can see, we have gotten to a drip, and it's up to you whether or not you want to wait for the drip to stop. So I'm going to take my bolt that I left on this paper towel here and put it back in the hole. So that I'm going to put the new oil in. And then once you have the bolt in place, just tighten it with the paper towel to get the oil off, and just do hand tight. Alright, so now that we have the bolt back in and everything's cleaned off, we're now going to move to the actual oil filter itself. So I've repositioned the pan so that it's directly underneath the oil filter, and this will also spill out over your hands a little bit, so expect to get a little messy. So again, I have my oil pan directly beneath my filter, and I'm going to grab it and turn it to the left, loosen it up. They're usually pretty tight. Alright, so we're leaking some oil. It's pretty warm. Getting it all down my arm here. Alright. All that. Yep. There you have it. There's your old oil filter. And so as you can see here, I now have the filter wrapped up in the paper towel to clean it off a little bit in the box of the new oil filter, and now I'm putting that in a plastic bag. So now there is where the oil canister screws into, or threads into. Here is my new fresh canister. It's very clean, and so along the canister here you have a rubber gasket, and it's nice to make sure you have a good seal when you screw it on there, so you don't have to crank it down. And what you can do is take some oil from your pan here and just dip your finger in it, and then run your finger around this this O-ring here, this gasket, just so you have a little bit of moisture on it to give it a good seal when you put it back in. It's kind of like finger painting as a little kid. Alright, so now I got that guy. Put my hand up again. And then scoot back under here and thread it in. Alright, so make it hand tight so that when you want to take it off later, you don't need tools. So that's pretty tight right there. Alright, so that's the hardest part. Alright, so now we're going to be putting new oil in, and so you're going to take your funnel. The funnel really helps because it's kind of tough to pour this stuff in if you don't have a steady hand, so you have to make a mess everywhere. I'm just going to get the cap off this guy. Nice, fresh, clean oil in there. Alright, so I'm going to put the camera down. And pour it in. Tilt it back, the oil will find its place at the bottom again, and then tip it up, see you'll get a little bit more out of the jug. Alright. Alright, so now that everything's been poured in there, put this guy back somewhere where it's not going to drip into the ground, and put this cap back on, and my great neighbor's weed whacking. Alright, so we got the cap back in, and there's our dipstick, and we can check the oil levels after. I'm going to turn the engine on and get the oil circulated and everything, and then we'll check the dipstick levels again. Alright, so we have the car running right now, so the oil's circulating, the new oil's in there. And I'm going to put this guy here, and we are going to check the oil in the dipstick. Or around the dipstick. So, clean it off. And when looking at your dipstick, you tend to have two markings. One's a hole here, and the other one is a hole here. Now, you usually want your oil level to be in between either of these, because this is your oil. Anywhere below here is too low, anywhere below here is too high. So you want it right in between. So we're going to stick it back in. Let it sit for a second and pull it back out. Alright, yeah, so it's kind of hard to see, but the oil is about right here. So we're in a good spot. Alright, so we don't actually need to add any more. We're going to put the dipstick back in. Make sure our cap's tightened. And yeah, there you have it. So that is how to change oil on a 2002 4-cylinder Camry. Alright, well, thanks for watching. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up on YouTube, or give me any other questions, thoughts, comments. I'd be happy to talk to you guys. So again, thanks for watching. Alright guys, have a great day. Alright guys, so one important thing to make sure you're aware of is that the oil is, you don't want it getting, I'm doing this in the street here and on a mat, you don't want it to get in the gravel or in the grass, because it'll seep right into the ground, and you know, of course you don't want that. So you want to make sure that you bring your old oil to a landfill where there's a designated area, or bring it to an auto parts store where they properly dispose of it. And with this starter pan here, as well as with many other pans that you can get, this is a very, very basic one. They make pretty fancy ones, but as you can see, you have a spout on that end, and this is the empty jug from the new oil we just put in, and again, just a funnel. And so you can put the old oil back in the jug from the new oil, and then bring this jug to the landfill or to the auto parts store and get it properly disposed of. So I'm not going to record pouring it in there, because I definitely need both hands. I can't hold the camera, but yeah, just make sure you do the right thing and throw away your oil in a responsible manner. Alright, thanks guys. Alright guys, so I just poured all the oil from the pan into here. Made a little bit of a mess, but blotted it up as best I could with the super absorbent towels.